What is up, my friends, and welcome back to Hobble Creates. My name is Hobble, and in the last episode we built this monstrosity behind me, which is a tunnel bore. It digs down into the earth so we don't have to, and it's getting us all kinds of goodies. So in today's episode I'm going to show you how to automatically empty all of the chests on this contraption and automatically send those over to the correct processors. So if you are new here, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and remember to leave a like. And as always, down below you'll find some chapters. You can skip forward, you can skip back, whatever your heart desires. So since the last episode, I've gone ahead and run our machine now a little bit longer down there. That way we've got a nice variety of blocks in its inventory. And I've also gone ahead and moved it from over there to in line with our factory, because I think it's going to look quite cool. And then out the back here, this is where we're going to have all of our processing. We're going to have some things going to crushing wheels, we might be even washing, and for things like Deepslate, we're just going to have that go directly into bulk storage. Unless you guys have any ideas of what we could use some cobbled Deepslate for. I can't seem to find any automation recipes needing it. Now for some of these items like gravel, we are not going to be reinventing the wheel. We're not going to be making a brand new process where we're going to crush it down and make some iron nuggets. We've already got one of those down there. And of course, if you want to know how that was built, then check out that episode. So starting off, we need to find our portable storage interface that we built into our machine. We need to come across 2 blocks then to a 2-block gap, place down a temporary block, and then pop down another interface. This is where we're going to connect to, and we can see it's going to work. If we go ahead now and power this on quickly, those 2 connect. They are now sharing the same inventory. Now on the back of this portable storage interface, we need to pop down a brass funnel. Now it needs to be brass because we are going to be filtering. We don't want to be pulling out the rails or the dirt or anything like that. We'd like that to stay in this inventory. And then we're just going to send this onto a conveyor belt. And then what we need to do is we need to connect this up to our windmills or our water wheels. And this is going to be running at maximum speed because it's going to take a little while for this to empty out. So let's take a look in the inventories now and see what kind of things we've got. So the diamonds, the gravel and the cobbled Deepslate, they're all going to go into their own dedicated bulk storage. For the raw gold and the raw copper, we're actually going to be sending that into some crushing wheels. That's because we have a 75% chance of getting nuggets of experience, and it's always nice to have a bit of experience on hand. Especially for those times when you need 1 level to enchant your tool and you just can't find any mobs anywhere. Now for the tuff, this is a magnificent block to get. Mostly because if we send this into some crushing wheels, we have a small but not zero chance of getting some gold nuggets, copper nuggets, zinc nuggets, and iron nuggets. And a little bit of flint, but we don't really care about that. But it's the fact that we now have an extra source of copper and zinc, it's very exciting. So since tuff is the most tasty block, I think we're going to automate this one first. So down at our belt, we are going to just pop down a nice and big 3x3 item vault. And on this then, we're going to pop down one of our brass funnels, right click it to make sure that it's facing inwards, and as the filter we're going to say pick up all of our tuff. Now we could combine this with our other crushing materials, but I think we're going to get enough tuff every time that it does warrant having its own dedicated crushing wheels. So coming to the other side then, we're just going to pop down a brand new belt, and that's going to be pulling out all of our lovely tuff. And we're going to take ourselves a shaft and we're going to pop it into the middle of our belt, add a vertical gearbox to one side, a vertical gearbox to the other side, pop on one crushing wheel and a second crushing wheel. And all we need to do is steal a little bit of power, and we'll see that that's running in the wrong direction. So we just add in one more of our gearboxes. Everything is running smoothly. Now what we need to do is we need to organize the outputs. So let's extend our belt out ever so slightly. And then just after our crushing wheels, we're just going to pop down an item vault. Now this one doesn't need to be too big, mostly because this is where we're going to be dumping all of our flint. But then from here, we could then just deposit that into lava. We do not need flint. Not in such large quantities anyway. Now coming over to the other side of our flint, we're going to pop down 2 of our item vaults, and we're going to make this a nice big chunky vault because this is where we're going to have all of our iron nuggets go. Now over to the other side again, we're going to pop down another nice chunky item vault, and this is going to be for our zinc nuggets. And then as a little bit of a safety net, we're going to come to the end of our belt and we're just going to pop down a general storage. Just in case these filters don't pick up everything or something got a bit full, we've got ourselves a little bit of a filter. That way nothing's going to spill off the end of the belt, or it's not going to jam up because we've got a block placed there to stop things spitting out. It's just going to keep running. And then every now and then we might want to pop over and check this out, just to make sure nothing is slipping through the cracks. But we now have a way to process all of our tuff. So next up, why don't we tackle the next fun one, which is actually going to be the raw ores, because not only do we need to crush it down to get out the crushed ore and the nuggets of experience, we then need to smelt that down into their respective ingot and store those separately somewhere else. So we're adding in another item vault now. We're going to come out to the right, we're going to make it a nice big boy again, and then we need to make ourselves an attribute filter. So in our attribute filter, we're just going to add in some raw copper. I'm going to scroll down to is tagged forge raw materials. We're going to click add, make sure it's on allow, add on our brass funnel, and throw in our filter. And again, we need to add in our output line. I've actually put it to the side this time just to kind of save a little bit of space on this side because this is going to need to go for a little while. Now, all we need to do is provide some rotational power. So I think if we plug into this belt here, we should, yes, we absolutely are spinning in the right direction. And like we did before, we're going to add in a shaft, 2 vertical gearboxes, and our lovely crushing wheels, which are very expensive to run, by the way, so you may want to actually power these separately to the belts, because the belts cost nothing to run, but crushing wheels, very expensive. These two here are running at 4,000 stress units. So we know that we're going to be getting 2 items from here, the nuggets of experience and the crushed ores. So let's deal with the nuggets of experience first. We're just going to build out a nice chunky item vault. And let's set that to pick up all of our nuggets of experience. Now we've only got crushed ores on this belt. So what I'm now going to do is I'm actually going to make this belt a fair bit longer. And on the end, I'm just going to put down any building block. Then we're going to pop down a temporary block behind it. And on top of that temporary block, we're going to pop down an encased fan. And we can get rid of that one below. And then to keep things simple, we're just going to have all of our ingots go into a nice 3x3 vault. And then we can sort those out into their individual vaults a little bit later. But now we need to set up another brass funnel on this, so it's going to be picking up. We're going to make another attribute filter. We're going to add in any of our ingots, and we're just going to make sure it's tagged forge ingots. And we're going to pop that in there. Now let's pop down some blocks that are going to actually stop the lava from escaping. And all that's left to do is power our encased fan. And we want this to be blowing quite hard. We want it to be blowing to at least here. That way the ores actually start getting cooked straight away. So I'm going to be taking the power from the belt. But again, you can also power these independently. It depends how many stress units you've actually got to spare. So we're going to go for something like this. We're going to add in some gearboxes. And then we've got space to invert the direction. But no, that's absolutely perfect. Although I am just going to make this a little bit bigger. And then we can start pulling out into the individual vaults a little bit later if we wanted to. Next up, why don't we work on our non-processed items? So we've got diamonds, redstone, and lapis. Let's just send them into their own storage over here. And then later on, we could probably add some belts that pull them out and go into their main bulk storage room. But for this one, we're just going to use a regular filter and we're just going to add those in. And boosh. And since we've got the space over here, why don't we just make this a nice big chunky vault? Now don't worry, we are more than halfway there now. There's only a couple more items that we need to set up some processing for, and then we'll be done. So next, why don't we quickly deal with all of our junk items like the flint and the gravel. We're not going to be processing this in this system. That's something that you could do in the future if you wanted to. If, again, you're not making enough gravel, you can just supplement your gravel system further down in your factory. So we've got ourselves an item vault. We're going to grab ourselves another filter. We're going to add in flint and gravel. Make sure it's set to allow. We're going to throw down our funnel, and there we go. But personally, I'm going to be dropping it all into lava because we just don't need it over here. That's not something that we're going to need to keep a hold of. Now, before we start dealing with all of the cobbled deepslate, which we're going to just bulk store and then destroy the rest, there's one more type of block that is going to be very useful to us to process. That's going to be the blocks that are added by Create, such as the azurine. We've also got the crimsite, and we've got some ochrum, and I think limestone as well. No, limestone is just decorative. Ochrum is going to give us a chance of getting some gold. Azurine is a source of zinc. And the crimsite, I believe, yeah, iron. Now, we don't need to worry about scoria or any of these other blocks because they can only be found in the nether. And thankfully, there should be a very easy way to actually set this up. So I think we're just going to go off to the right again since we do have a decent amount of space over here. So we need to set up another item vault as a kind of middleman. We're going to pop down another brass funnel, grab ourselves an attribute filter. We need to drag in one of these blocks that are added by Create. And that is the reference that we are going to be using. So if we scroll down, we can see that if it was added by Create, then it needs to go through this system here. Now, it's not foolproof. If for some reason you pick up any other Create block with your miner, which you shouldn't be doing anyway, it will get sent into the storage over here. But honestly, if you placed it down by a miner, you didn't need it anyway, so it's completely fine that it's going to get destroyed. So let's pop that filter on, and then all we're going to do is we are essentially going to copy this entire system over here, but being aware that we are actually going to be getting some nuggets as well. So let's pop down a belt, pop down a funnel, connect the belt, add our gearboxes, add our crushing wheels, pop down our nugget storage. We're going to add a filter for forged nuggets, which is only going to pull all of the nuggets out of here into our item vault. Add a building block, a temporary block, pop down our encased fan, remove the temporary block, power our encased fan, pop down yet another one of our item vaults, which is going to be storing all of our nuggets, pop down a brass funnel, add a block to stop the lava from escaping, pop in our lava, make up another attribute filter for our forged ingots, make sure we apply the filter, and then for all of our cobble deep slate, we are going to have a massive vault coming off of the end of our belt right here. So we're going to add in a 3x3 storage, and we're just going to drag this super duper long until it says, no, you've done too big now, right there. So this would be a second vault, so let's go ahead and remove that. So it is a 3x3x9. I believe that's around 100,000 items that can be stored. And then on our brass funnel, let's go ahead and set it so it only pulls out all of our cobble deep slate. Now for any blocks that we may have missed that we aren't processing at all, we're going to add in one final item vault right to the end of the belt. Anything that isn't picked up by any of our brass funnels here are going to get sent into this vault, and then we can just add more processing in the future if it's something that we actually need. Now before we turn this machine on, we need to set one more filter. It's going to be a regular filter, and we need to add in our dirt, our levers, we want to keep our powered rails and our redstone torches, and we're going to set this to deny. What that means is if we pop it on here, we're going to pull out every item except anything that is on this list. And my friends, I think it's finally time that we turn this on. So in order to make this system work, we do need to enable the contraption. That should then send things over here, absolutely did. And we should start seeing items filtering out and going into their respective places. Now this vault hopefully stays empty. Hopefully we haven't missed anything off. I suppose cobblestone also needs to go somewhere, so that is a filter we'll need to set if we're digging in the cobblestone layer. And all we'd need to do is set up another vault like this right next to it for cobblestone. And my friends, everything seems to be working as it should. Let's check down here, make sure things are moving. So we've got our tuff in here, waiting to be processed. Everything is going well. Nothing's in this vault that we have missed. And down here, we've got ingots. Here we go. We had some nuggets of experience going in, 140 of those so far. Crushed ores are waiting to be smelted. They're going into our ingot vault. So I'm going to let this run now until it completely empties out of all of its resources, and I'll bring you back and we'll see if there's any mistakes. So my friends, the contraption has finished emptying, and we made no mistakes. Everything is working as it should, and we've got free resources without having to do really any work at all. So that's actually going to do it for today's episode. So if you did enjoy yourself, then be sure to hit that subscribe button, as you are not going to want to miss the next episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye guys.